with my other hosts,
Gian.
Julie.
It's V again.
We are so excited to be back, and we hope you love our new format. So all of you told us you wanted to see us while we talked. So now you can see us, a video podcast. You can listen to us. And we're very excited about all the stuff we have going on with Purse Chronicles. You can subscribe on iTunes, and we want you to follow us on Instagram, and make sure you like our brand new Facebook page.
Yay!
So we have a lot of exciting stuff happening with the Purse Chronicles. And right now we're pulling out of our purses a very fun topic that we've been wanting to get to for a while now. We're just getting to it. And so the title is The Myth of the Life-Work Balance.
Yes.
And this came up several times in previous episodes and conversations. And so we want to talk about, is this a real thing or is this a myth? Can you do it all? Do you have to balance work and life? What is the myth of the work-life balance? And I'm going to start with Julie.
Julie.
I think the concept of work-life balance is outdated and comes from the 1980s along with shoulder pads, and that's where it belongs, where you only had two-dimensional worlds and you went to work and then you came home. And life is, especially today with technology and how you have fluid types of careers and so many entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, that it's not about work versus your life. What is that? That's diametrically opposed. And that's also, again, a very old way of thinking. And then what about the folks that don't work, but they take care of a home, or they take care of someone who's sick or elderly, a full-time caretaker? It is life balance. That's the first piece of it. And the other piece of it is, what are you balancing? I don't think you can have what you want, but you can't have it all for everyone and meet everybody and make everybody else happy.
Good point.
Very
What do you
interesting.
think, Gian?
This is a topic, that's near and dear to me.
Yeah.
Because I struggle with, I guess, really want to say myth, but I struggle with my career and being a mother of small children every day, and just my priorities. And so, sometimes I'm like, I can't do it. And I don't know if it's a myth. It's just hard to balance. It's hard to say,
The myth is that it's totally easy, no big deal.
It's just very hard to have my work life because, as I said, women are evolving and things are changing. And, one day I realized last year that my close friend circle, every last woman in my close friend circle is the primary breadwinner of their homes.
Wow.
Oh,
In my personal, circle, but they're also mothers, and we talk about all the time how their husbands have these expectations of them, and they're just like, "Are you serious? Like, I, work full time. I'm the mom. I'm still, that you think I'm going to come home and, all this stuff." And it's like, I think at the end of the day, you have to set, do self-care, reflect, and say, okay, at the end of the day, what can I do? And what's important to know your priorities, and that's what I'm learning. It's like, where's my priorities lie? Like, what's important? Is this the job? Is it my children? And some days they might, flip flop. But it's okay. And not be so hard on yourself as a woman. And sometimes I have guilt. I have mother's guilt a lot. Lot.
Yeah,
oh my God. I'm like, the twins are by my dad. The twins are here. The twins are there. I can't, and I'm like, so I feel so guilty sometimes I'm not with them. I feel like sometimes I've cried at night. I'm like, I'm not this perfect mom. And I'm like, I have to be kind to myself and realize that, that's just that's just my life right now. And that doesn't mean that I'm a bad mother, and that doesn't mean I'm a bad person or a bad woman, because I can't do it all. And you have to sit with that and reflect on that and be kind to yourself and say, you know what, I'm just one person. And all I could do is my best. And my children will understand.
And it has to be your best. Like, if Julie's passion are the parades, but she's not necessarily going sightseeing or
Traveling enough like I wish.
What do you wish it, right? So this is the thing, is what is it that you want to do? You love working on parades. Have you ever had somebody say to you, why are you doing another parade? Aren't you busy enough? Don't you want to relax?
Absolutely, all the time.
Right, because that's what they envision for you. That would be meeting their needs. And then they'll say, oh, you work too hard. Well, I like working hard. I like it. So part of work-life balance is doing what you like for you and not living to be a people pleaser to everyone else. Or even maybe an old version of yourself, what you thought was necessary to define a grown woman, what that might look like.
When you talk about define, for many, many, many years, and probably still do, a lot of people will describe me as a workaholic. And when you talk about mother's guilt, so not only was I building my career, I was mom, primary breadwinner, that that flip-flopped in the household as my career got bigger and stronger, and I found my ex-husband now supporting that. And I got bigger, and my career was stronger, and I was doing so much stuff, and I was traveling. And I missed some very crucial moments in my kids' lives. I remember once, I won't give you details about my daughter that's so significant to a female. And here I am in Austin, Texas, with 5 other employees, and I have to hold it together because we're talking about legislative priorities, and I have to give my stance on it and be strong about it. And as soon as I walked out, I caved on the bathroom floor. And I couldn't let my staff see that, or I couldn't let my colleagues see that, but I had that moment, and that still haunts me today. And that was many years ago, at least 13 years ago. And then you think about, but all the other things that I've given them, and my kids inherently got integrated in my business life, just naturally. If it wasn't, I'm in the middle of a crisis, and one of my employees, not even my assistant, because she's there with me, had to go pick the kids up from school and take them to academic games. So I missed a lot of that. So I found myself overcompensating or compensating. I feel like I was overcompensating, maybe, I don't know. But by, trying to be the best mom, and, and making sure that when I did go to the academic games, that I was very supportive. I knew everything was going on. I participated. I helped the other kids, but I found that I instilled it in work ethics.
Well, and I think it's interesting you say too, as the only one with no kids, finding the myth of the balance is, it's just me and my husband, and so we're having conversations. We're out at dinner. We're sitting at the dinner table, and we're talking. And I probably say the word "nix." I really wish I had a counter.
Yeah.
Probably 2 to 3 million times
That's
per day.
Right.
That's amazing.
So he's so good, and he's so supportive and so wonderful, and he will get to his limit.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
Yes. Say, okay.
at some point during the week, okay, I've had enough nicks, like I can't anymore. And so I know that it's hard for me because I could just talk about it constantly, right, 24/7.
Right.
But I have to have that balance to let him talk about his day and his job and whatever else is going on in our lives other than, because it can be consuming.
Wow.
And so that's a balancing act.
And that's a balancing between you and someone else. I feel like the work-life balance rhetoric, I think, again, outdated, is more like internally.
True, but that's my work and my life.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
that's why you can't separate them out anymore. It's life balance. It's life balance.
Oh, I see your point.
I see.
Oh, I see your
It's
point.
not work
Okay.
versus your life.
Yeah.
It is life balance, and it's about living for you. So is it, my dishes don't get done all the time. I don't throw elaborate dinner parties. So let's break it down and say that you used to host elaborate dinner parties once a month for a Sunday supper for your family. But you realized that was a strain, and that was capacity that you didn't want to give anymore because you wanted to put that somewhere else. And that could literally be anywhere, because it doesn't matter. You don't have to justify it, right? Because it's about for you. And then when you go and announce, like, hey, I'm not going to be hosting this anymore, mom, sister, and they are disappointed, right? So now you're living for the other person. That's what we're talking about here, that you're saying, that's not balanced for me. I don't want to do that anymore.
I found that a lot of times I wasn't present. I wasn't emotionally available because I was thinking about so much other stuff that was going on with work. And so I had to learn where to put that. I had to learn a place to put it. And I taught that to my kids. Like, for example, they'll hear me on the phone, and it could be 6 o'clock at night, there's a crisis, I might have to go to my Baton Rouge office or something, and I'm like, well, we have to deal with this. And that means somebody's might not make it tomorrow to work. Somebody might get fired tonight. And so as I was having this conversation, which I've had a lot over the years, my kids were in the car and coming from an extracurricular activity, and instead of me focusing on their accomplishments, their goals from that extracurricular activity. I'm, the whole while I'm
know.
doing this and I'm
Yeah.
doing that, right? So I wasn't balancing. And so when my kids on the 310 say to me, to each other, oh yeah, somebody's gonna get fired tonight, it hit me. Because I'm like, well, they're too much into this. I have to balance. I have to pull this out. And I said, you know what? I'll talk to you later about this. I'll let you know when I'm driving up. I hang up the phone and I say, you know what? That may not always be the case, but let's talk about what happened with Christian. And let's talk about what happened with Lexi. And I had to learn where to place it. It has to be put somewhere.
Yes.
And that was difficult figuring that out because I was always on the go.
I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah, I think we all are. I mean, you're still figuring it out. But as moms, does guilt come with birth when you give birth? Because I'm asking because, you said, you stop doing the dinners and somebody else isn't going to be happy with you.
Well, I don't care about that. That's the whole point.
But what I'm thinking is the moms can lay out the guilt, like if you stop doing something or you're not going to make somebody happy.
Well, there's laying on guilt, and then there's mom guilt of am I doing enough for my child?
But then there may be guilt that you put onto your kids, is my
I
point,
probably-
as they get
I know.
older.
I know.
That's something to be mindful of too,
Yeah.
because if I'm the one hosting the parties and
true.
then I stop, I'm going to get the guilt trip
Right.
from whomever.
Right.
And it usually is mom. So that's why I was asking.
I mean, I guess learned behaviors is for my guilt, it's just my dad is helping me while the kids are out of school, and so when I have to
holidays,
work,
yeah.
and when I have to work, and I might not get home tonight till 6, I'm like,
point.
my children been over there since yesterday. I'm like, I want my kids. I missed them last night. I'm like, and so
But you
that
do need
guilt,
a break, too.
yeah, I mean, I need a break, but I still feel guilty. Like, why are they not here? Like, all of this stuff is consuming me, and I want to be with them. And so I struggle with that all the time. Like, am I doing enough? And some weekends I'm so exhausted. I'm like, but I should be taking them to the zoo, or I should be spending time with them. But I'm like, I cannot get out of this bed. And so then that's what I'm trying to balance. I'm like, something has to give because I can't just
Can't be everything to everyone all the time.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, if I'm this exhausted in the weekend, like what's going on? And so, now that I'm starting to reevaluate my career and be like, you know what? At some point you have to decide what's important in life.
And that's just,
you do.
Your life rather than your work
versus life.
Personal.
Right. So it's
You look
your
like a
whole
pie
life.
puzzle almost, like a pie chart, not a pie, a round thing with spaces divided
Yes,
up.
pie chart, yes.
And you decide where.
You look at me for that one, right?
Excuse me,
What is
you
that?
have the
Can you
elevator
remember that? What is
spreadsheet.
that? It's the round thing with slices.
So you
Pie chart.
decide what is going to go in that space. And so sometimes that means that my dining room is going to be a storage room of baby clothes that I still haven't figured out what to do with yet. And too bad, so sad if someone else has a problem with that's how it looks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, oh, Julie, you don't get to do this enough. You work too hard. And I'm like, I love what I do. I love it. And then I let go of the things that aren't a priority to me anymore.
And as alpha females, we want to be the best at everything.
Yes.
We want to succeed. Every aspect. We want to be the best mom. We want to be the best wife. We want to be the best girlfriend. We want to be the best employee.
Keep the best home, throw the best parties,
the best friend,
look the best.
We want to just be the best whenever we do it. But then guess what? Sometimes we just can't do it.
You can't.
all.
You can't.
You can't, and it's
And
okay.
you have to be okay. And I had to be okay. Like, Julie has been in my house, and it doesn't look like it's lived in most of the times. It's always spotless. And they're like, people are like, you have 5-year-olds? I'm like, yes, because every night I scrub this house, even though I have housekeepers. It's and my thing. And then the other night I was like, I don't care that there's Christmas toys still downstairs.
Good.
Yeah,
I don't even care. And I've never done that. I would usually, if my brain would be
it
like,
would aggravate you. Yeah.
this house needs to be clean. And now I'm like,
Woosah.
And you know what?
who cares? I'll pick it up
Woosah.
tomorrow.
And
The
if it did
dishes were in the
care-
sink, and,
Right,
and
well,
it's
yeah.
okay. And it's okay. Like, now I'm telling myself, you know what? It's okay. It's okay.
And if it did,
Like,
this is the thing, if it did matter to you though,
Yeah.
that's okay too. Because really it's about doing what's important for you for the right
But it
reasons.
mattered to me not because in my mind people were going. It was in my mind other people. It was not even at the house. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
it
so
wasn't.
that's
It
when
wasn't.
it's
That's
not
what I'm
serving
saying.
you.
That's
That's
what
when
I'm
it's
saying.
not
It wasn't
serving
for
you.
me personally.
And
It was
there is
just
no other
like
people, it's just the three of
Yeah,
y'all.
no, that's what I'm saying. It was my worst enemy in my
Yeah.
mind. Like even
Yes.
with the mom guilt, it's no one's over there. It's just
Yeah.
in my mind. Like, how dare you not have this perfect house.
Yeah,
You
and
know
we-
what I'm
we do
saying?
that
Like,
to
how
ourselves a
dare
lot
you?
with
You know, you're
perfect
not
or
cleaning
being
up, and how
perfect.
dare you? And it's like, who? And if somebody comes over here and say something, please don't come to my home anymore.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
and it's okay
exactly.
with that. And so that's what I'm saying. I'm learning. I'm giving
Yeah.
giving myself permission to be human.
Yes.
Yes.
Say giving
I'm
myself.
giving myself permission
permission
to
to
be
be
human.
human.
I'm
That's
giving
the goal.
myself permission.
And it's for
I'm
what
like,
you want to
you know
do.
what? This just like facade of this avatar has got to die because nobody believes it but me. You know, so it's like being your own worst enemy. Like get outside your head and be like, you know, you're human.
Right, so if being with the kids and getting them to bed and knowing that everybody's home safe
Yeah.
and it's time to go to sleep, so what?
Yeah.
If that's what was important to you,
Yeah.
who cares
Right.
about the dishes?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Your family's there and you're all together and everybody's safe and happy and
And-
going to bed
and if you
what
get
more, you know, and that's what's important to you.
Yeah.
But if it was scrubbing the bathtub and
Right.
that was
And if
important
that
to you,
was
then
important-
maybe that
Yeah.
was
exactly.
important.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to do it.
Yeah, and so I'm saying is I was doing things not because if I felt like I had to, like not because of it was like I didn't want to. Of course, I'm exhausted, but in my mind, it's like you know, like
I'm out of
you know,
capacity.
and so I had to just get off the cross. You know, I just had to get off. I just had to be like, all right, you know what, this is so ridiculous. This is not sustainable. I'm
love
human.
that. Get off the
Okay,
cross.
okay.
Wow.
You know, and I'm like giving myself permission to be human.
And some things I tried to make sure I gave my kids, and I thought about this, is some structure. Like, I may not always cook, and we may order out, or, you know, I had to let go and let the kids cook sometimes, but we will always sit at the kitchen table, and each one of us, like, we'll say our prayer, for bless the food, but each one of us will go around and say something
Because
about
that's
that.
important to you.
And-
We don't do that in my home.
Right.
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 I
Right.
eat standing up
Yeah.
while I'm cooking for them, and we're just all over the place.
Right.
Because that was not important to me, but that's important to you, and that's what matters.
Right. And let me just say this. When they were younger, that was not the thing. That was not what was important to me. The thing that was more important is my kids would say the baby music. My kids listened to the baby music until they were like 12. And what I would do is make sure that I tucked them in, slept with them, laid down with them, read to them, or in Christian's case, he said I never read to him because Alexia would read to him because I had her reading. So, and I would read as well, but he said, oh, you never read to me, Mom. Like he's saying this at 19. I'm like, are you crazy? But anyway, so that was the priority then. That's how we nurtured it. But as they got into their teens, what I wanted was something structured. I didn't want they both, went to Jesuit and Mount Carmel, so it was intense, both of them. But I needed a break for them and I needed a break for me. And I didn't want it to become like I saw something on Oprah years ago that we've become the world of electronics. The kids are in this room, this was in this room, and that was in this room, and dad's over here, and this was over here, and this was watching TV. And that resonated with me, and I'm like, whoa, shut all this down. Because we need some family time together at those crucial times when they're in their teenagers. And so now I find them going back to a lot of different things over the stage in their life that has shaped them. So, I mean, I'm not speaking from just when they were little, because the house was a mess. And I can tell you, I'm gonna give you the best technique ever. When your house is a mess and people are coming over, take everything and throw it in the closet. And it's gonna look clean. Everything's gonna look great. I was the queen. My mom would always come and she would say, don't open up the closet.
I don't want to reveal my secrets in house cleaning.
It's just being realistic and not holding
Right.
yourself to standards that's just archaic and not reality.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Still,
and it's just like that's just not realistic. That was TV. Those people don't live that life, And so sometimes I'm like, can we do a lawsuit against Disney? No offense, but no, just say like that whole concept is just
Well, it's just
societal
the
issues.
societal.
Just like you said on Instagram,
yeah.
and I heard the best quote: "Nobody's life is as great as it looks on Instagram."
yeah,
Because
like-
you're not going to put the
Yeah,
real,
why are you
the
gonna
dirty
put-
house
yeah, like, on
and
this
the
and
kids
that,
running
yeah.
around. Most people aren't going to do that.
Yeah.
But getting back to what you keep saying, it's about what's important to you.
Yes.
So finding the life balance for you might have work and it might not.
Right.
You might be a caregiver
Yeah.
or a domestic engineer. You may be running
Yeah.
a home.
Yeah.
Yes.
You may not just, I hate that I just said
Yeah.
that.
Right.
You may be, the core caregiver for someone who's ill.
When you went to launch your second parade, I'm assuming your plate was already full. right? The pie chart was fully divided up. There were no open sections. Is that correct, Julie?
Absolutely.
Okay. So what moved, what shifted, what changed to make space for that?
I made space.
So does this mean that maybe did you go out less? Did you work on something else less? Did you have to give anything up for that?
I wouldn't say that I did because I was working a full-time job, I already had Knicks, married, had the Knicks sets, and I wanted to do it, so I made time to do it.
And another thing, and I'm not going to say, can I offer this to you?
Come on,
But delegate. I learned to delegate and to empower others and to build leaders. And so when I needed to do something else to add, that when that pie chart was full, but it really wasn't, because then I'm in a more administrative position. Someone else is doing it because I delegated that, and I no longer do it. And that shows growth for me, because for me to do everything all the time is I need to grow to the next level.
Yes.
So I
And
need
if
to be
I'm
able to say,
here-
I need to be able to grow others. And I need to sit back and look at whatever legacy I leave to say, this person helped me with, she helped elevate me. And it's okay to relinquish that and to delegate and allow that person to do it their way, because then you're going to see something else. And it's okay, it's within your vision, but it may look differently because you want them to put their niche in it and
Yeah, and I
what they
think
bring
we
to the
operate
table.
a little bit differently, and that's it's just different for me.
It's the nature of the business, though.
Yeah,
It's the nature of the
yeah,
business.
absolutely.
And we can offer, that's why I say let me offer.
Yeah,
so
let
we
me
can offer
offer.
different perspectives with
Sure.
people in different aspects or different types of industries. So, some things you cannot delegate.
Right.
And I understand that. But then indirectly you probably did. And not realizing some things that you may have done more detailed things that you kind of like.
And Knicks wasn't a baby at the time either. It was growing up a little
Yeah.
bit. Not that we know everything, but we know more than we did when we
Yeah.
started.
Yes.
So we're just
Yeah.
starting to repeat the processes year after year.
It was
So-
systematic. You implemented a system, and it was running according to that.
Yeah.
And you felt comfortable enough that
Comfortable
system was doing what it
Because
needed to do.
To be honest, Jefferson Parish had come to me several years before I ever said yes into doing Pandora, what turned into Pandora. So it was the timing. There's a lot of things,
Yeah.
and I think that's important too, the timing. Like you said, what you did with the kids when they were younger has changed as they've gotten older. What doesn't matter to you right now
Right.
might be different later. So
And I think it's
it
about just
evolves.
staying focused on what is important to you and not living for the Instagram highlight reel.
Yeah.
Okay. So there are for when I first had children, it was really important to me that they were in matching clothes and monograms and smocked outfits all the time. And then it got to the point where that was taking energy. And believe it or not, it takes energy to make your kids in matching clothes. And it's a process. And I don't know what this shift happened, and I'm finally like, you know what? I don't care, wear whatever you want.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
to an extent,
Yeah,
'cause I'm
yeah.
still a little micromanaging with the
Yeah.
outfits. But some people still are very adamant about that with their children at my children's age, about what they're wearing, matching, coordinating, and that's fine. That's for them, but it's not for me
Yeah.
because I want to use that time to do other things.
Yeah.
And something I have been saying for years, because whenever I facilitate a meeting or a conference, I like to always say, pick your battles, win the war. You don't have to fight every battle, but ultimately, that's the sprint versus the marathon. Ultimately, you're looking to win the war.
Yeah.
Because winning a battle or every battle is not going to win the war.
Yeah.
So you have to pick your battles so that you can win the war. So it goes back to, do I want to do this time, or do I want to do this time?
Yeah.
And you pick what battle you want to fight at the time, and ultimately win the
Yeah.
war.
And sometimes the balance that you choose, I don't think balance is a myth. Maybe the work-life part is.
Work-life
Right.
balance
Right,
is the
but
myth.
the life
balance
balance
is real.
Yeah, you
real.
have
The
to. Yes.
separation.
Yes.
Yeah,
is the
but if work
Yes.
is part of your life
Yeah.
and you're trying to balance it all, then
Yeah.
it's life balance.
Yeah.
And I really like that concept better
Yeah.
than work-life.
And it needs to be what's important to you in your life.
Yeah.
Let
and
me
not
ask
living
this question.
for others.
Yeah.
How could work not be a part of your life?
If you don't have a job.
Oh, Okay.
I know a ton of moms that do not operate
But
outside
their
the
jobs,
But that is a
but their
job.
jobs, they need to balance from that sometimes.
Right. So work. That's why I was saying in the very beginning that
Yeah.
you take care of a home.
That's just
that still takes time responsibility.
Oh, yeah, that's
Absolutely.
work.
And that's
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of work,
work.
and they need a
That's
balance
work.
for that because they got to separate from that and say take a break.
So I think what
But
your
work
point
life
is
that
yeah,
are
is
is
paid
taking the word
outdated.
work out and
And
it's
just
life balance.
Life balance, yeah.
Because
Ultimately.
whatever your work might be in
Yeah.
your life,
Yeah.
it encompasses everything
Absolutely.
Exactly.
in that pie chart.
Part of
Yep,
your life.
and take
Yep,
care of
it's your
yourself
life.
and be kind to yourself.
So
Do what you want to do
Yeah.
for you.
Yes.
Don't live for other people.
Absolutely.
And it's okay for that pie chart to change over time.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because what's important
and
to
day to day.
you,
And day to day. My day so far is not happening like I wanted it to happen, you know. But I mean, that's just life.
yeah,
You know? Yeah.
and your priorities and your pie chart's going to
Yes,
change
absolutely.
over time, and that's okay too. What it looks like today,
Exactly.
it might not look like tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks
Thank you,
again.
ladies.
Yay!